Radio. Shout it.
What's happening? Of course, you know it's your folk, B-Hop Radio, Shouty. And stepping in the building, I got a hip-hop legend, icon, trailblazer, and all of that good stuff. Greg, nice and smooth. What's good with it, boss?
Man, I'm chilling like Bob Dylan. Happy to be here, looking down at the roses.
Ooh, I can definitely dig that right there. Now, I mean, Greg, how have you been surviving COVID-19 in these streets, boss?
Just living every day like I've been living.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna get technical. I believe it's something out there, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of stuff out there that's been out there.
Exactly.
The TV is really crazy, and the internet.
Come on now.
Just keep doing what you've been doing. That's all I'm doing. And when God says time, then it's time.
Big old facts. Now, I mean, Greg, can you take me back to the beginning of when you jumped off the porch with this music? First of all, where did the love of music come from? And then with hip-hop being in its infancy stages back in that time, did you feel like this was something that was going to make you a living legend?
As a kid growing up in New York, I mean, we were just doing that every day in New York City, man.
Yeah.
In the early 70s, it was just going down every day, man. I got family in the South and different places across the country. But they wasn't doing that. They wasn't out like how it was. And mostly everybody, if you didn't come from the islands, you came from the South. Everybody ran north. Or your grandparents, they was like, we got to get out of this. Yeah. we got to be able to move.
Exactly.
And that's what they did. So when they did that, I mean, it broke the mold. But, I'll come down, visit my cousins and start breakdancing on the floor. They like, what are you doing? This is called breakdancing. What? What is breakdancing? This is what we doing in New York.
My God.
So, every summer your cousins come visit.
Exactly. And you over there just cranking it up, and they like, what the hell's going on in here?
Yeah. And then, it was meant to be.
Don't
make mistakes.
Exactly. Jumping off the porch with Dope on the Rope, man. I mean, talk to me about that song, and what was it like putting that thing together and just jumping out there into the game?
I was actually already in the game before I even did that. Before we ever made a Nice and Smooth, I was already there with Tila Rock, with Ultramagnetic. We were doing a lot of things, man. Mm-hmm. Me and Kool Keith went to high school together. I mean, I met Tila Rock and Special K from the Treacherous 3 in a house party doing the human beatbox. I was going all around the city doing the beatbox. This was new. This was 1983, 1984. So it was a good time, and eventually it flourished into what it flourished into. And at that time, there wasn't no internet.
Yeah.
You had to do that real groundwork.
It had to really be popping.
Yeah, you had to do that groundwork, and we were going everywhere. Myself, I met Smooth eventually through a friend of mine. He was doing what he was doing already.
Yeah.
And then we was running in the same circles. We just didn't know each other. Mm-hmm. And we were doing demos here and there. He was on the road with Bobby Brown. Bobby had just left the New Edition. And I was already on the road with Rockmaster Scott. With Tila Rock. I was going all over the country, all over the world. I mean, I was leaving United States as a teenager, early days.
What was going through your mind when you was going overseas as a teenager?
I knew God had a plan.
Yeah.
I knew God had a plan. I didn't know what the plan was, but I knew he had a plan. Mm-hmm. Still the same way I feel right now.
Exactly.
I know I'm not immortal, but I feel like he got me regardless of whatever.
And got work to do.
Yeah.
You and Smooth B, man, when y'all linked up, was it an instant chemistry, or was this something that y'all stumbled upon?
Yeah, it was an instant chemistry. A friend of mine, his name is Lance Romance. Mm-hmm. And Lance did a lot of things. I can't even get in his story, but he said, I got this guy I want you to meet. Think y'all will hit it off. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, cool. So at that time, like I said, I was already on the road with Rockmaster Scott, with Tila Rock, and all of them doing what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And I had a buddy of mine in my hood that was a rhyming guy. Him and Slick Rick, they went to high school together. So I used to do the human beatbox for him while he's rhyming and stuff. And I had took him like to the Fearless Four House, the OC and Crazy Eddie. All these dudes was killing it. They had Rockin' It Out and Problems of the World. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yo, I got my man. He rhymes, this, that. And I do the beatbox with him. And I started doing that. And they started booking time and taking us into sessions and things like that. So by this time, when my man Lance crib and met Smooth, it was my man June was with me too. So we was gonna do a thing called Nice, Smooth, and Love. Ooh. And later on that year, my boy got killed. He got shot. And after that, it's like his spirit jumped in me. because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to rhyme with him. I just said, let me do the beatboxing. That's all I want. It was new.
Yeah.
It was going everywhere.
Exactly.
I'm at the Disco Fever, the original Disco Fever, winning a gong show. Every Wednesday they had this thing called a gong show.
Yeah.
Like the TV show, the gong show. They was doing it at the Disco Fever.
Yes, sir.
I was winning. I was going all these different spots, tearing it up, block parties, whatever. I went to one spot in Harlem. I used to go with my man Tito from the Fearless Four. Tito would come to the hood and pick me up. Everybody bugging like, oh, it's Tito from the Fearless Four. So, and I'm going with him, and we going to these different parties, and dudes is doing the beatbox and all that. He's like, yo, man, you should get in that contest. I'm like, nah, man. I started feeling like, nah, I'm with y'all. I ain't got to get in no contest. I'm chilling. He was like, yo, man, they got $100 in there, man. You got to get that $100, man. I was like, nah. So eventually I got in it. Then you had to run off, back and forth, run off, back and forth. And then me and this one dude was in the back and forth runoff. And then eventually I won. So I won the trophy and won the $100. And homeboy's like, yo, give me your number, man. We got to stay in touch, man. And I'm like, yeah. So started hooking up with this kid. I bring him to different spots with me. I took him to the Fever. I was taking him everywhere. And eventually he blew up. He started doing his thing. He used to be like, we got to do a beatbox record. I'm like, I don't think that could work. He's like, yeah, we got to do it, man. And one day I'm at Latin Quarters, and he come to Latin Quarters, and he like, yo, the Sony Walkman just came out, the yellow one, waterproof joint. He was like, yo, listen to this, man, listen. He had a beat. It was like, I'm like, oh, this is dope. He's like, yeah, man, I was just with Marley Marl. Give me the beat and all this. Next thing you know, make the music with your mouth biz. And that dude that was in the contest, that was biz.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So we were all like, in the whole thing going around.
Yeah.
So at that time, I'm like, all right, me and homeboy started doing more things because he'd be on the road with Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Like on Mondays, Tuesdays, they'll come back home off the tour. They was on tour, we're ready for the world.
Yeah.
He'd come home or whatever, and I go to his crib. I'm like, yo, check this beat out. He's like, oh, that's hot, man. Who did that? I'm like, me. I'm getting ready to do this on my joint. He's like, word, that's dope. I'm like, yeah, you want to rhyme on it? He was like, word? I'm like, yeah, it'll be dope. Look, nice, smooth. It'll be dope, nice, smooth. You want to rhyme on it?
Oh.
Then I play another one, like, oh, you want to rhyme on that one? He was like, yeah. So he was already doing his demos with Bobby Brown. Bobby was producing them. And I was already working with Fearless Four and all these guys. So we just did that. So I was at this record label all the time.
Yeah.
I was with Tila Rock and them. I was at Sleeping Bag Records all the time. I would be in there using their phones. That's why I would go to call girls that I met from Jersey or Connecticut or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's where you make the long distance calls.
That's right.
So I was like, man, I'm going to their office. They used to be hanging there all day. So I seen dudes bring their demos. I saw EPMD bring their demo there. I saw when they came in there with their demo.
My God.
I saw Marshall Jefferson come there with a demo of 2 groups that he had. And they didn't sign it. And like a year later, I started hearing them songs. I remember the demo I heard. And that was 10 City and CeCe Rogers. So like all of that I was seeing already.
Greg, as a person that has seen a lot of this stuff from the jump, first of all, I want to ask you about hip hop and then the early, birth of it. Did you think that it was going to turn out to be pop music by the end of it and the biggest music in the country? And then also seeing a lot of these artists before they blew, what was it about them that caused them to be able to blow up?
I didn't know it was going to be this big. I didn't know it was going to be this big, but I knew that people love it. Because a lot of things you didn't know what was going to happen, not even just the music, the way people live.
Yeah.
That it was going to be a computer, that it was going to be anything. So you didn't have no vision of that, but you did know that you love what you was doing. That's why you had so much originality.
Yeah.
Opposed to today, where you could have success today, but it'd be, say if it's 100, got 100 acts, 80 of them are the same. And you were like, yo, but why you saying that? Well, you disrespecting the young. I'm like, no.
No, they sound the same, fool.
I'm supposed to say that it sounds the same if it sounds the same.
Exactly.
So, and anything that we did, it was always original as a people of color.
Facts.
That's what made us stand out. Everybody wanted to do what we were doing.
Yeah.
So it kind of went to a freeze. The business kept going, the technology kept going, but a lot of the originality disappeared.
What do you think caused that?
When they killed the DJ. They killed the DJ. I'm trying to think, what year was it? Maybe it was the late 90s. They killed the DJ. Late 90s, early 2000. They killed the DJ as far as, I was at a radio station in New York, one of the biggest radio stations that made this music happen.
Yeah.
And I was there when they started servicing the DJs with a playlist. They started telling them,
I see what you're saying.
Take this. You can't play this.
That.
What you mean? The way hip-hop made it to where it was because DJs. So say if it was the hottest DJ out here at that time, it could be Nabs or anybody.
Yeah.
If it was the hottest DJ that's in Ohio, the highest DJ in Greg Street, in California, and just all these different people. Whoever that DJ was and you seen him, you're like, hey, man, how you doing? My name is Joe Blow. Yo, check this out, man, my joint. Joe Blow go home because, one, it ain't playing every day on the radio because they didn't think that music was going to last. So it was always mix shows just on the weekend.
Exactly.
So if I'm on the radio from 9 to 12, okay, I'm home, I got this record, I'm Red Alert, I'm whoever. Yeah, this guy just gave me this. Let me hear it. I'm playing it in my bedroom before I hook my setup before I get to the station. Like, what the? I'm playing this tonight.
Yeah.
Red Alert, go berserk. Everybody driving around like, oh!
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he's, what is this one? Do the James, just going on and on.
Yeah.
Everything just was different. Like, rock the bells. Everything was just all over the place.
My God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those records, most of them was on independent labels. Those wasn't the records that was sending that envelope to the people.
I feel that.
So now if you're looking at the one-stops, a lot of people, if you listen to this interview, one-stops were where the people, where the record shops bought the records from. So the distribution company would get the records to the one-stops. So they would have a list, like in the top 50 things that's selling from that one stop. So if you look at it and it'd be like Stephanie Mills, What You Doing With My Lovin', MCA Universal Records. You're looking at da-da-da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah records. You're looking at da-da-da-da-da-da, Fantasy Records, The Show, La-di-da. Who is this? I'm looking at this because now it's in Texas, it's in Cleveland, it's in Atlanta. It's in, who is this? I don't know this. You know, every other record label's on Warner Brothers, Columbia, all of these records were independent. So they're like, what record is killing my big record that I'm sending envelopes to the station for?
Come on.
Who is this? Hey, I got to get in touch with these people. Hey, I'm da-da-da-da-da, Universal. I'd like to have a meeting with you. I want to do a distribution deal with you guys. So they started doing that.
Yeah.
Some of them was taking it. Some of them was saying, nah, like sleeping bags. Everybody was coming to them to do distribution. They was like, nah.
Yeah.
Why are we going to do that? We don't have crazy overhead. We putting the records out. These records got legs. So if a DJ got the record, the people going to love it if they loved it. As long as he get a chance to play it. So what they did was stop that dude from playing that. If it don't come from this company or this company that's in our system, stop playing that. Play this. Here. It used to be like a 37 record playlist. You hear 37 different records a day.
That's about 16.
Then it started dropping. It might be less than 16.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be less than 16.
It might be 10.
You know, they always have rotation, so we ain't going to get it mixed up about them not having rotation. It's always been rotation. But it's been minimized to the point where it be 10 songs, you know, that's it.
Exactly.
And they came from, it could be Malacca Records / Atlantic / Warner Brothers. It got to have one of those if it's doing that.
Facts.
Because I don't care how much they love it, if you ain't giving me an envelope, it ain't going to get that much burn. But that was the difference from back in the day. You know, like I said, a DJ get a record, as soon as you hear it, I grab it and put it on. I came in the door, said, you're like, oh. Check out my melody. Beep, 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 beep. You could just go on and go on.
Hip Hop Junkies.
Yeah.
When y'all came with that one right there, that was another one of those songs that had a totally different sound. It integrated that new jack swing with that hip hop, which was a new thing at the same time. Talk to me about creating that banger.
We knew that was going to do something.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to do something. Smooth had found the original of the Partridge Family, and he brought it to me. He was like, yo, G, do something with this. I'm like, all right. Told him, come over here. Same day. Listen, he's like, oh!
Wait a minute, you produced that track?
I produced majority of every night.
See, I knew that you was a rapper, Greg, but I didn't know that you was one of the coldest producers as well, because that track on Hip Hop Junkies is just one of those ones. So talk to me about the production side of it, from when you got that sample and then you said, let me chop this thing up.
Like I said, I always been doing the beatbox, always been at the jams, always been with all of the dope DJs in the neighborhood, and you always had that feeling.
Yeah.
Like I said, God don't make mistakes. He know what he's doing. He's like, this is what you're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. So that feeling, I had that feeling. And at that time, it wasn't, oh, let me get this producer. Or, you know, you couldn't get these certain producers at that time. Everything a lot was independent, especially if it was coming from a hip-hop state. R&B and all of that was at a whole nother level. But coming from that hip-hop state, and then the guys that's like before me, as far as commercially, like Melly Mel and these guys, they from the same neighborhoods, but a lot of their records were produced by bands. We didn't have access to that. We had access to, I learned different samplers and machines before that would only sample for 2 seconds. I learned that from Curtis Mantronic. Learned a lot from Mantronic, from going to the sessions when he was producing Tila Rock and Just Ice. And I learned a lot from that. Always been a guy to just sit there and acknowledge. You know, tell a lot of people, you don't got to ask a million questions. Just sit and watch and learn that way. But no, teach his own. Some people just got to ask you a whole bunch of questions.
Exactly.
You know, but that always been that. So when we were doing it, they didn't have no budgets, like saying, yo, here's your budget, because they was rolling the dice. They were rolling the dice on us.
So when Hip Hop Junkies hit, though, and it was going crazy across the country, what was that experience like?
That was another world, because that was our second album when we did that one. The first album was at Sleeping Bag Records, and then Sleeping Bag Records went bankrupt. While they had like 3 #1 albums out on the charts.
How the hell that happened?
I guess I don't want to pay nobody.
Not even a damn tax folk.
Yeah, look, I went to the office. This is honest to God's truth. Went to the office because we was getting ready to do a video for this next single. We get to the office. You get off the elevator. Imagine you get off the elevator here. This desk and the phone is in the hallway, and there's a padlock on the door and a Marshall sticker. And the president of the company just sitting at the desk on the phone in the hallway.
Damn.
Yeah, it got like that. And then, you know, they sold a lot of things. They sold a lot of the other, because they had a lot of dance music.
Yeah.
Joyce Sims, All in All, Summertime, No Sarah. They had all of them big dance records that was going crazy.
Yeah.
But a lot of the dance artists didn't have full albums. And at this time, it was 88. Hip-hop started breaking the mold. It started busting through like a whole bunch of it, to the point where Warner Brothers or whoever's like, we need something that we have a whole album of. And they came in and they sold a label. I mean, they sold a top artist at that time, which was us and EPMD. And they was bidding with different labels, Capitol, just a bunch of different labels. And then Russell Simmons came in and was like, I'll take both of the groups for XYZ, $1 million for both groups. And it was like non-recoupable. I didn't know what non-recoupable meant at that time. And I'm like, oh, word? So we went to Bert Fidel's office, which was the biggest accountant for all of the hip-hop guys. And we did the deal at Bert Fidel's with Def Jam. And that's what happened.
What was it like being on Def Jam with all of those legendary artists at the same time, too?
It was great then, because Def Jam was a family then. Def Jam had one office. You could walk in the office and see your contract laying on the table. It wasn't one of those, you had people that worked there like Marjorie Clark and Heidi Smith that was like mommies and aunties to you. It wasn't where you had to have security at the door to get in, and it was none of that, man. And this time, it was really, really it was Def Jam. It was a family.
Yeah.
And Def Jam was definitely a part of Rush Management, which was ran by Russell Simmons and Leo Cohen as well. So they had like Def Jam artists, then they had Rush Management. So not everybody from Def Jam was on Rush. They had other people that was signed to Rush Management as well, Brand Nubians, the Tribe Called Quest. We could just go on and on. Everybody was signed to Rush Management. So it was like this side of the office is the management, this side of the office is the record label.
Yeah.
You could just go there any time in the day and be like, yo, I got the idea to do it like this. Let's just do it that way, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, eventually they became corporate because they came into a situation with Sony where things wasn't going well with Sony and they had to find another home. And when they did that, they sold half of the whole company to Universal, which changed the whole hip-hop game because none of those labels had as many prominent, dominant artists as Def Jam had. You'll have an MCA, they'll have maybe a Heavy D. You'll have this one that'll have a such and such, but you didn't have a conglomerate.
Exactly.
They bought that whole thing. So when they did that, they brought that brand, that stamp. They brought LL Cool J, they bought everything that was superstars already.
Yeah.
And once they did that, they changed it to the Universal Music Group. Started calling it the Universal Music Group. And it moved into a big building, a big corporate building, and it was over after that.
What was it like when the corporation started to take over hip-hop and you realized that it wasn't the same thing that you grew up doing and now this thing is a big money game now?
I guess eventually the finances was going to get there because a lot of guys of our time, they made money, you know. A lot of them didn't know what to do with the money. A lot of them, it wasn't a blueprint yet. Where's a blueprint now?
Yeah.
People that made videos to show you on YouTube where they messed up. They got behind the music, showing you who was on drugs or who didn't know that they should have signed this paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a learning experience.
Exactly. Sometimes I rhyme slow, sometimes I rhyme quick. Another bop. That thing went crazy as well. So, I mean, talk to me about the music. And when you are knocking them out of the park in the group, what are you thinking to yourselves when you thinking, we going crazy out here, it's our time? What was it like when you realized that it was y'all time and y'all had hit that tipping point to where y'all were nationwide stars?
We were humble. We were humble, and we were learning. You know, we was in our 20s, and we were learning. But we knew that we was blessed. We may have disagreements on things, myself and Smooth, but at the end of the day, if we had $1 million on this table, and I ain't come here to 2 months, that $1 million will still be there on that table.
That's right.
Or we'll never let somebody dog each other out like, yeah, you can say what you want to say about him, but yeah, I ain't with that, and vice versa.
Exactly.
So we were going through that, and then at the same time, we were breaking the mold because at that time, when we did that song, it changed a lot of things as far as being out of New York. That's all you wanted to do was be like the joint in New York.
Exactly.
I don't care about anywhere else, but as long as I'm the joint in New York.
Of course.
And then when we did that song, when that single came,
yeah, I would enjoy it in New York.
It changed because everywhere else, that was bigger than New York. That was when we started seeing it go up on the Billboard, and one day we were at MTV, and this time MTV would only play 2 rap videos like at a time.
My God.
It wasn't like how this thing is now. It was only 2 rap videos at a time, and we were there with one of the reps from Columbia, because that's when Def Jam was with Columbia, which is Sony. And I was talking to this guy's name is Mark Kaneem, and he was saying, hey, man, somebody's getting ready to be added to the such and such on this MTV. Like, word? That's crazy. Who's doing that? Somebody that's in this room right now and we talking with is going to be added to this. Like, huh? Nah. And at this time, in the Bronx and in certain parts of New York, you didn't have cable. There wasn't no cable, so you couldn't see MTV.
Yeah.
You know, you had to go to somebody's house that lived in a nice house in Jersey or Long Island
had it.
that they finally had money that you see it, but we had Video Music Box.
Yeah.
One love to Ralph McDaniels.
Yes, sir.
His story is really amazing. But yeah, man, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna see it. Maybe I got to go to one of these girls' houses somewhere. I got to see how I'm gonna see it.
Yeah.
So they started wiring certain buildings. Certain buildings started getting wiring. You see in the cable companies outside, like, yo.
Yeah.
In the area that I lived in, they was putting the cable in. So where Smooth stayed at was no cable in. I had got it. So I was in my crib, word to God. I was there all day. I used to just come outside at night.
Yeah.
In the daytime, I didn't come outside because I was always outside till 5 in the morning every day.
Exactly.
So I was like, the freaks come out at night. You know what I mean? And, I'll come home and, parking in New York City is scarce unless you live in the suburb.
Yeah.
So I was coming home, man, messed up. I got to looking for parking spots. I'm like, man, F this, man. I just leave my car in front of a hydrant in front of a school. I come out like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's school buses around and like 9 parking tickets sticking in a window wiper. I'm taking them joints, throwing them on the floor, get in the car, keep on going. Was doing it every day.
So you weren't giving a damn every day.
Was doing it every day. And next thing I know, I'm chilling in the crib one day. I'm like, that thing gonna come on today. I could tell it's gonna come on. And I'm looking at Guns N' Roses, November Rain was on. There's the video when they was having a big wedding and throwing drinks across the table.
Yes, sir.
And it went off, and I'm like, it's gonna come on. My hand to God. Smoking a blunt. So all I seen was a finger going with a gun spinning. I said, oh shit. Oh shit. Hold on, I gotta beep Smooth.
Oh.
Beep, 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 beep. Yo, what's up? Yo, that thing came on, man. Huh? The thing came on what's the name? Word? I'm like, yeah, I see you later. I gotta hang up. I gotta finish.
I'm watching this thing.
3 hours later. Again.
Ooh.
Then in the morning, then I spoke to the dude at the Columbia. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, it's in light. Let's get ready to go heavy, though. I'm like, oh, yeah? Because when we started getting like to here, and the radio stations here and all of that was playing that, we was like, oh. And the Carolinas, the Carolinas and Philadelphia broke nice and smooth outside of New York City. And then California after that, then California. And everything else in the middle just started happening from that way. But the Carolinas was a beast.
What was that like when you realized that y'all were nationwide superstars and now y'all traveling the country doing y'all thing, man?
It was fun because this time, if you had a tour bus that held 12 people, I would take 17. I was taking the homeboys out of the neighborhood to see different things. I was like, I want y'all to see that you can do something else.
Yeah.
We don't all got to do the same thing, but it's an opportunity to do something else. And at the same time, you were growing and we was learning too, because you was learning from these dudes. Like, you can't put everybody down.
Yeah.
Because these dudes are burn a bridge. And it don't say their name, it say your name.
My God.
When you pulling over at truck stops to get something to eat and they stealing all of the food out of Bob's Big Boys, you're like, yo, we got a per diem. You're making money. Why you stealing? And this time, you got to think early 90s, late 80s, racism
was real.
Now they bugging right now. Racism was crazy then. It was really crazy.
Exactly.
A lot of people think that, if you was up north, that it wasn't no racism. I had a buddy of mine that's from South Carolina tell me that at the barbershop. Yo, G, you don't know about racism. You from New York. I said, you ever been there? He's like, no. I said, you can't tell me nothing, man. I said, in grade school and high school, was getting chased by white boys with sticks and bats.
My God.
Every day. I said, you seen Bronx Tale? You seen when they was riding down the street? You see what they was saying? Niggas, get your ass back down to Webster.
Yeah.
All day long. So you never heard of Howard Beach? You never heard of Yusuf Hawkins?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man. It was going on. 12 years a slave. Where they took him from?
Exactly.